Okay. Is anybody in here in my motion design class? Just curious if anybody actually showed up for my class. No, that's really disappointing. Okay, has anybody in here ever done flipbook animation or any kind of animation before? No? A little bit? Okay. Any of you artists in here, are you all? Not at all? All right, that's okay. Okay, so flipbook animation is really kind of like the essence of animation. You know, if you look at some of the really old cartoons and animations, they're literally done hand-drawn, and I mean, they just draw 12 pictures, and that equals 1 second. And that's essentially what we're going to be doing here with these. So let's go ahead and take a look. I am a motion designer, but I'm not very good at drawing. So my drawings are not going to look very good. Yours are all going to look a lot better than mine, I'm sure. But I'm going to show you some of the basics of motion and how that works. Okay, so we're going to start off with something really simple. One other thing, when you're doing your flipbook animation, think of kind of cutting your index card in half and only work on the one side. So if you're right-handed, just try to do all your drawings and everything on the right-hand side. If you're left-handed, you can flip it the other way and do it on the left-hand side. But if you get too far over to the other side, it's not going to flip and move through the way that you want it to, okay? So when you are doing an animation, again, we're thinking about 12 pictures per second. So I'm just going to create a little circle here. And one nice thing that can often help is if you have a light pad. So this is just my iPad, and it doesn't work super well, but if you can, I don't think you guys can even see that, but with a light pad, something that's really nice there is it shines the light through so you can see what you've done in the previous image, and then, yeah, I can't even see it on here. So you can do your best, you can hold it up to the light, whatever you need, and then I'm gonna draw my another circle right just a little bit below it, and that was way off. So I'm gonna flip that around, and so you're always putting these in the back. And another handy tip when you're doing flipbook animation is to actually number your cards. So this is going to be number 1 and 2, because once you've got these all scattered about, it's going to be really hard to keep track of what goes when. So be sure to number them so that you know where you're headed. Okay, so then I'm going to have this ball kind of drop down and bounce. There's a principle in motion design called squash and stretch. If you ever watched a cartoon and you see something fall down off a cliff or something, you know, like Wile E. Coyote runs off a cliff and then drops, you can see that his body like stretches a lot. And it's just kind of imitating motion blur, so it's imitating, you know, the natural physics that we normally see. So for this next frame, I'm going to start to elongate my circle a little bit. And then as I keep going, I'm going to stretch that down even more. I'm going to go about right here. I'm really stretching it out. And it seems like I'm working backwards, but I'm really just using the ones behind as reference, and then I'm going to flip them all around later. I'm going to really elongate it here. And do it about one more time. Before it starts to hit the ground. So we're going to create kind of this plane here. And as my circle smashes down, it's going to be kind of flat. And then kind of not quite as elongated, starting to smash a little bit. And then here, we're going to have it really smash. I'm going to have one more frame where it kind of stays smashed. Smashes just a little bit more before it springs back upward. Because basically what happens is, in real life, even if you take like a baseball, so a really solid object, and you film that in slow motion, you'll actually see that the baseball actually compresses when it's hit by a bat and smashes and then springs back open. All right, so now that it's smashed, I'm going to start to bring it back up into its natural form. I'm going to do that over a few frames. And this is really rough because I'm trying to do this first one a little bit quick for you guys, just to give you kind of the basis of it. And it's going to start to go up a little bit, not really elongating very much because it's not moving very fast. So the more you elongate it, the faster your object feels like it's going. Come up just a little bit more. Okay, so this is not going to be perfect because it's better to have a light box with it, but this will give you a good idea as to how this is going to work. So since I was working and placing all my cards in the back, I just have to flip those around. And then let's see how this actually works out. Pretty cool, huh? So fancy. After this, you guys can all go work at Disney and you start animating with Pixar and you'll be all set, right? Okay, so that's really quick. Out of this, we did 1, 2, if my fingers could work. Okay, so we did about 15 different cards in just that quick little bit. So, anybody remember how many frames I said last a second? 12. So, if I'm flipping this correctly, that gets me about 12 frames. Sometimes, if you don't have very many frames or very many cards in there, it's nice to take some extra note cards, and then it makes it easier to flip. Okay. So I'm going to show you another thing about timing. So this is another principle of animation. When you talk about timing, is the fewer frames you use, the faster an object goes. The more frames you use, the slower it goes. So I'm just going to, let's see. If I create a dot, can you guys see it okay on the screens? Is that too small? Okay, good. All right. So if I want this dot to jump from here over to here, if I do that in like 3 frames, it's gonna jump really fast. So I'm just gonna put it right there. I'm gonna try to reference this a little bit. And then I'm just gonna kind of create this really long stretch to streak it across. And then have it end up, sorry, I'm just holding it up to the light so I can see behind the next card a little bit better. So because it's only 3 frames, it's not gonna show us very much, so I'm actually going to just go back and forth a few times just so you can see the speed. And what I'm doing is I'm gonna have it, I'll show you this way. So I'm basically just gonna recreate these 3 frames a whole bunch of times. So I'm gonna have it start on the left, jump across, pause, and then I'm gonna do a second one here because it's gonna not just bounce back, but it's gonna go over, pause for a second, go back. It's not gonna be a long pause, it's gonna be really quick. So I'm just gonna basically recreate each of these. And I'm gonna try and get 12 of them so that we can at least go for a second. So back in the day before computers, this is essentially how all those animations were done. People sitting there drawing all these by hand. All right, so we'll take a quick look at this. I'm gonna grab a couple extras to flip it in the back, and okay, so it's moving pretty quick, right? It's basically just jumping from one point to the next. I know you're like, great, whatever, right? Well, let me show you what happens when you make something go a little bit slower. So I'm gonna use these same cards and do the exact same kind of thing. Okay, so we're gonna have another dot down here. It's gonna start right there. And with this, I'm gonna use a little bit less stretch because we're gonna have it going a lot slower. So it's gonna move over just a little bit this time. Try not to get these out of order. So one of the cool things about flipbook animation is you're using the same techniques that were used by the famous Disney animators back in the day. You may not have all the same tools, but if you take the time to actually work on this, you can come up with a masterpiece. But since I'm just trying to go through this really quick, all right, so let's see how that turned out. Okay, you see how it still has that movement, but it's going just a ton slower. So if you want something to move fast, then you only have to use a couple of cards. If you want something to move slow, then you've got to use a lot of cards to get from point to point, right? Okay, any questions so far? It's pretty simple, right? Okay, so let's try to do something a little bit fancier. One of the things about if you have a light pad or something that's really nice is that you can draw an object and then just trace over it over and over again. So I'm going to try turning on my flashlight on my phone and see how that works. Okay, that should work pretty well. So I'm going to draw, again, I'm not great at drawing, so I'm going to do something really basic. Which just goes to show that you don't have to be great at drawing to be an animator or an artist or anything. Okay, so I'm going to create this house, and I'm going to shine my light behind it so I can kind of get this in the exact same position. And I want this house to sit here for just a few frames. So one of the unfortunate things about this is I have to redraw it the same over and over again. Okay, so I've done about half a second worth of frames. So now I'm going to start having this move. So one of the things about being able to trace behind it is I can actually, this is going to be kind of hard to show right now, but so let's say I'm going to have this house just kind of shoot off like a rocket, okay? When I trace this, for the past couple of times, I've been tracing it just aligned with the note card aligned perfectly. But now I want it to move up a little bit, so I'm going to offset this card behind it just up a little bit. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to still trace it perfectly, kind of roughly, but perfectly, and have it positioned a little bit differently in the frame. And that is called a keyframe. So with a lot of Disney animation and stuff like that, they'd actually have their main animators draw like the first frame of Mickey Mouse walking, and then somewhere in the middle of his walk cycle, and then him getting to his end destination. And then they would bring in other artists that they would call tweeners, and they would draw the in-between frames. So a little bit of motion design animation history for you. Okay, so I'm offsetting this just a little bit again so that it's moving up on the cards. And it's moving kind of slow, so I'm not offsetting it very much right now. Because usually when a rocket launches, it starts off kind of slow before it gets going fast. Okay, so now that it's kind of started, I'm going to start to create a little bit more stretch in the drawing and make it go a little bit faster. So I'm going to use this one as a reference, move it up just a little bit more, but I'm going to start to elongate this house. And then I'm just going to have it fly out of frame right here. Okay, so that looks pretty good right there, but I want to add a couple extra details in here. So I did the base of my drawing right now, and then I'm going to add a few other things. So these first couple of frames are fine, but as I start to get in here, when a rocket launches, it has that plume effect, so I'm going to start to create a little bit of this kind of clouds kind of building up. And I'm not going to be too particular about these clouds. And then I'm going to just start to make them a little bit lighter so that it just kind of follows the path and dissipates. Okay, then I'm going to add a few more cards in here where this kind of cloud plume sort of starts to fade away and thin out. Okay, and we'll see how that turned out. One of the interesting things about animation with flipbooks is you don't necessarily always know exactly how it's going to turn out. So it worked out pretty well. Thank you. So if you are really good at drawing, then you can make this like the fanciest house ever. You can spend some time on each individual frame and, not rush through it like I was. But that's one of the cool things about flipbooks. You can keep it as simple as you want and just kind of cruise through all the different pages, or you can really take some time and put a lot of detail into each of these. Okay. I need to have you guys all come to my class so you can ooh and ah in front of my students, and that would be awesome. Okay. Would anybody like to learn a little bit about character animation as well? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to show you just the very basics and draw stick figures. So I hope that you're okay with that. Okay, so I'm going to create a little stick figure guy. And we're just going to have him walk a little bit. So we're going to start off like this. Really fancy, right? Actually, I probably need him to be a little bit bigger, so let's start over. You know what, we'll actually have him running. Get rid of that one. That was terrible. Okay. So what we need to do is you create the figure, and you just have to kind of think of what the motions are when somebody's running side by side. So this front leg is going to hit the ground, and I'm actually going to keep him in the same position. And then one of the things about animation is that you usually create a walk cycle where somebody's just walking, and then they move the background behind them. And so that's kind of what we're going to try and do right here. So since I'm going to have this guy running, I don't need as many frames, so I'm actually going to try and create essentially 2 frames. So one with this full extension of run, and then one that's in this kind of in-between stage. And so by just repeating those 2 frames over and over again, then your mind will kind of pick up and fill in the blanks between all the spaces. At least that's what it's supposed to do. We'll see how well I did it. So even with just 2 different positions, you can create a really interesting animation. So it's a very basic run. Let's add some like clouds or something in here. So that it moves, so it shows that he's actually moving a little bit more. Okay, so by adding some elements in the background, then it actually will help to add more speed and depth to this little running animation. And you can even do little things like add some running lines on here. And I'm not going to worry about these being the exact same because the more they kind of vary, the faster it'll look like he's running. Anybody have any questions so far? It's pretty straightforward, right? Okay, if I put my iPad here, are you guys able to see the screen? Okay. So just for the fun of it, I'm going to show you just how flipbook animation relates to real-world animation. So this is a program, and basically, I'm going to do something very similar. So I'm going to, let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a circle in right here. And then, let's see. And then I'm going to move down a frame. So with real animation, well, I shouldn't say real animation because flipbook animation is real animation. But with computer-based cell animation, it has this option called onion skinning, which shows you what happened in the previous frame. That's exactly what we're doing when we're trying to look through a light to see what's going on. So I'm going to just draw this circle. And I'm going to do the same kind of animation where it drops down. Yeah, it's just a little bit. Right. Yeah, that's definitely better. Okay, so I can play this back, and this is literally what we just did with the flipbook animation. But this is how professional animators do it. It's literally just doing a flipbook animation on a computer. And so you can spend more time on it and do things like, with a little bit more detail, and create things like this. But this is all stuff that you can do in a flipbook. It's just a matter of spending the time and working on it. I would absolutely love to see what some of you guys have created. Is that something we can do? Anybody willing to share what they've worked on today? Yeah, it's going a little darker. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Very cool. So once you've completed yours, you can always add these clips onto it so it stays perfectly aligned. Awesome. Anybody else willing to share what they've been working on? Everybody's going to be shy. Oh, awesome. Very nice. I love the balloon, and the hand reaching up afterward is awesome. Cool. What was your name? Riley. Riley, nice job.
Thank you.
Who else wants to share what they've been working on?
I kind of started mine over here. So
Okay.
Good luck.
What was your name?
Hannah.
Hannah? Nice. I love it. Very cool. Great job, Hannah. Who else wants to share? Oh, come on. Somebody's got to be willing to share. Somebody else. You look like you're ready to share over there. Yep.
So bad.
Oh, I'm sure it's great. Oh, awesome. I love it. I love the mailbox. Or is that a, yeah, that's a mailbox, right? What was your name?
I'm Olivia.
Olivia, nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you. What was your name?
I'm Abby.
Abby? Awesome. You guys are so much better artists than I am. I love it. Great job. Anybody else feel like sharing? That's awesome. Typography is my favorite thing, so I love that you played with type like that. Anybody else? So do you all feel ready to go apply for a job at Disney and start animating? Perfect. Is anybody willing to share their work with just me so I can see it if they're not willing to share it with everybody? Can I show it to everybody?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. What was your name?
Emma.
Emma. This way. You're left-handed, huh? That's awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, did anybody have any questions at all? Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming. Your stuff's looking great. I wish we could go through and see what everybody did, but yeah, great job.
Yeah, can we get a round of applause for our animator? Thank you for coming. Here's a USU beanie and a gift card to the campus store and some chocolate-covered cinnamon bears.
Oh, awesome.
I hope
Thank
you like them. We are going to be doing a best flipbook animation, so you can submit it at the USUSA Instagram, the USUSA events Instagram. So take the night, finish up your flipbook, make it look really good, and then you can submit it at the USUSA events Instagram. Additionally, we have cupcakes outside. They are king cake cupcakes, which means that there's a little baby baked into every single one of them. So it's a choking hazard. Please do not scarf it down. Make sure you know where the baby is. Don't actually swallow the baby. And also there's going to be a giveaway. So if you get a cupcake with a sticker on the bottom, come back into the auditorium and come and find me. I'm in this white. And then we will get you your prize. It's $50 to the campus store. So hopefully that's fun. But can we get another round of applause for our animator?
Thanks, everyone.
Also, thank you all for coming.